Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Crowdsource Commander. As always, I am Chris, your friendly neighborhood Card Kingdom internet guy who plays on the things and his voice you hear in videos and stuff like that. How's it going out there? Hello, Zibzibian. How are you today? So, we have another Commander Kingdom coming up, and as such, I need to build a deck for it, and Twitter voted this time on a bunch of the new Innistrad Midnight Hunt legendaries, and we picked Slogurk, the Overslime. The only first commander I'll build whose name sounds like you're trying to swallow a burp really hard and it's not going well. So, we have Simic land value town stuff going on. I always like building land decks. I played lands for a long time in Legacy. I sold some of them, and I wish I hadn't, because boy did the prices go up, but whatever. Anyway, we have Slogurk here. Let's figure out what we're going to do with Slogurk. We have a few things to get out of the way before we actually start building, which is our theme and our restrictions for this month. So let's get started. First off, we have composting is our theme. I mean, it's nothing really, revolutionary. It's a lands commander. We're going to be playing a bunch of lands, putting them in the graveyard, getting them back out of the graveyard. About what you'd expect for something like Slogurk. I'm still not sure how I'm going to build this, like if I want Slogurk to get huge, or if I want to keep bouncing Slogurk, replaying stuff out of my hands. I'm sure it's going to be a little bit of both, since some of the utility of a commander that does something like this is the ability to keep pulling lands out of your graveyard. So, we'll see. Next, rule 1. At least 50% lands. If I'm going to build a lands commander deck, it's going to be honest-to-goodness lands. This is going to be a mostly land-based commander deck. We're going to try to win through our lands and doing stuff with our lands. All of our cards are probably going to have something to do with lands, either landfall, something happening with lands, letting you play more lands, letting you replay lands, bouncing lands, etc., etc. We are just going to go land crazy this time. No counterspells. We are Simic. There is a bunch of pretty dumb explosive stuff you can do in Simic lands, and we're going to be doing a fair amount of it, so counterspells feel like, I don't really know how to put it, just like, it's not wanting to give people a fighting chance, because that sounds really arrogant, but just, we're going to be doing like 6 different explosive things a turn at some point if our engines get going at all. If I'm playing counterspells to protect things, that just feels a little, not exactly easy mode, but like we're just kind of losing the spirit of what we're trying to do with Commander Kingdom, which is have a fun game. If I'm just trying to stomp people out, I could build a version of Simic Lands that does that real quick and easy, but we want things to be a little more interactive, at least for our opponents, seeing as how a lot of Commander decks, even higher power level ones, don't really interact with lands beyond like a couple of wasteland effects or Ghost Quartery sort of things. I found, at least playing the decks we tend to play on Commander Kingdom. So no counterspells, since we want other people to be able to do fun things too. We just want to beat them after they do their fun things. Next one. No money limit. Airhorns. Normally we do play with some kind of limit, just to restrict ourselves. Lands in general in Magic, especially as you play more powerful and older ones, get real expensive, so if I was going to put some sort of money limit on this, like, we'd kind of axe part of the point of playing a lands deck, which is just to play old, powerful, really interesting stuff that they don't really print anymore, or that they have printed in different versions. You know what I'm saying? Just like lands, especially old, powerful lands, tend to get spendy, so putting a money limit on this feels a little too hamstringy. So, for once, no money limit. I'm actually going to try to do that this time. I know I've said no limit before, and then I don't want to spend $80 on a card. I don't want to spend $80 on a card, but I have a lot of this stuff already, because I did used to play Legacy. I played lands, like I said. I didn't sell everything off. I do not have a Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale. I'm going to lead off with that. There's not going to be a Tabernacle. No, I'm not spending that much money for this deck. Anyway, let us get started. Not much to say with what we have right now. We just have Slogurk Force Island that we've started with in the deck, so let's get down to business to defeat the Huns and our opponents. So, it's kind of weird to say we're going to start with lands, as we normally do, so I'm going to put that, we're not going to be throwing in all of the crazy lands that do a ton of stuff. This is just going to be pure mana producing lands we're going to start with. So let's go down to the land section here in EDH Rec for Slogurk, and let's see what we have. So we have at least 50 slots, since one of our stipulations is 50% land, so we do have a lot of room to play around with. I'm not sure we need Command Tower. One, it's a 2-color deck. Command Tower is excellent in 3+ color decks. It's good in 2-color decks, don't get me wrong, but we'll see. Snow lands or non-snow lands? That is going to depend on if we end up throwing snow effects into the deck. I mean, there is some utility in throwing snow lands into a deck that doesn't care, because people will start playing around some things, but I'm not going to go that far into it. So Command Tower is a maybe, but it's going to be cut pretty quick if we end up needing room, but I'll throw it in for now. Breeding Pool, yes. Misty Rainforest, yes. Evolving Wilds I'm kind of met on. Like, we're going to be playing honest-to-goodness fetches like this. I'll play Fabled Passage and Prismatic Vista just to get those out there now. If only Fast Spawn. Do I own a Fast Spawn? I don't own a Fast Spawn. I own a Mana Bond. That might be a thing. That could be a thing, actually. We'll see. So yeah, we're going to have a bunch of fetches. I don't feel like we really need Evolving Wilds. We're going to have plenty of other stuff to pull out, to replay fetches and like thin our deck and do all that sort of good fetchy stuff. I don't think we need Evolving Wilds or Terramorphic Expanse. I am fine with cards like your Waterlogged Groves, just stuff that will sack and draw a card even if it does ping us a little bit. It does have enough utility for us that I'm fine throwing it in. It's kind of on the cusp. We'll see. We're going to be playing a bunch of the cycling lands too, so I'm not sure how much we're going to need the card draw utility. In fact, you know what? I've talked myself out of it just right there. Rejuvenating Springs. Why wouldn't you? We're playing Commander. This is what it's built for. I am going to throw in a bunch of the other fetches this time because we do want cards in our graveyard, or lands to go to our graveyard and whatnot. So we have Misty, we have Fabled Passage, we have Prismatic Vista. There's 7 total of the, like, Zendikar Onslaught fetches that we can throw in. Because they have to grab colors that we can actually use. We can't just throw in, like, Arid Mesa, things like that. So no Arid Mesa, no... what's the black-red one? I don't even remember at this point. Blighted Woodland? Is that the... I forget. Whatever. No red-black, no white-black, no white-red. Bloodstained Mire, thank you. We got there. You got there. Sure, you know what? Let's throw in a Verdant, a Scalding, and a Flooded. Is that all? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's going to be Polluted Delta and Wooded Foothills. So, we've maxed out on our fetches. We might end up cutting a couple of them, just if we need the room. Fetches are great, but... you know, we don't need all of them. Hinterland Harbor, sure. Myriad Landscape, normally I would say, yeah, let's go for it, but we're going to have plenty of other stuff to do. We don't need that style of ramp. We're going to have a ton of ramp. Growth Chamber, we are going to have reason to be replaying lands. We're going to get more than one land drop in a turn, but because we're going so heavy on it, I don't know if I'm going to play Amulet of Vigor. Am I going to pass on Summit Growth Chamber? Not yet. We'll put it in. That's another one that's kind of on the cusp for me. I've explained a lot in these shows my feelings on the bounce lands and how they are good if you have a reason for them, but I am wary of them otherwise, so we'll see. Yavimaya Coast, we have plenty of other ways to get that sort of stuff without having to ping ourselves all the time. Bark Channel, the Pathway, I'm fine with. Blighted Woodlands, that's the same kind of deal for me as the Myriad Landscape. I guess the difference is this comes in tapped, this doesn't. It costs more to activate to get the basic lands, but it's not bad. Same for Ash Barrens, like it does the basic land cycling thing, but we're going to have plenty of effects that help us search out and play lands, so I'm not hurting for those effects yet. If we end up wanting more or just needing more land count, then sure for these kind of things, but not yet. Hey, Trop! I own one of them. We'll throw it in. Why not? Temple? Sure. I'm fine with that. Still not a big fan of the filter lands. Is that just me? Am I wrong? don't know. The Snarls I'm fine with. We're going to be playing... We'll see how many basics we end up playing. I'm sure we're going to end up playing a lot. But I don't know yet, so we'll see. Don't want the fast lands. Don't need stuff like Mana Confluence. Wouldn't this be an utility as opposed to just like normal lands? What is sacrifice? Yeah, like it's the created copy. It's token that's a copy of target creature you control. Clip enters battlefield with +1/+1 counter. I mean, it's fine, but I'm not. If we come up with a reason for it, then maybe. But I don't know. So that's 18 cards. So I don't really know how to go about building this deck in my normal way, because normally now I'd go up to utility lands, but that's going to be most of the deck. Why not? Let's just go for it. First things first, let's go up to where I know some other land cards are going to be hiding. Yavimaya, Cradle of Growth, we're going to want one of those. All of our utility lands and islands and whatnot can tap for green with that, so excellent. Real quick, just see if there's any other lands hiding in some of these other spots. Does not look like it. It's not going to be an instants and sorceries or enchantments. All right. Utility lands. Here we go. This is where the fun stuff is. All of the cycling lands I am definitely going to throw in, because we're going to have ways to get lands back to our hand. So being able to just constantly recycle all of these cycling lands and churn through our deck, pretty good. That's 4 of them. I don't know if I need the deserts as well. Maybe, but only if we're filling out spots, I guess, at the end. Going back, we do want our Ghost Quarters, our Strip Mine, and our Wasteland. We are going to be those people. If we end up completely locking people out of the game or not is another question. I'm going to try not to do that, but if it comes down to it, I'm more than willing to be that guy in this game. Field of the Dead. So, the question is, how much do we want people to hate us, I guess? This is maybe as a win con for me. Like, it just feels so... It's such a feel bad. Like, I feel guilty if I throw it into a deck like this. Maybe. We do need ways to win. We'll see. I'm unclear as to whether or not I feel like being that guy. Field of Ruin, Field of the Dead is aggressively unfun. I agree. Especially if we're playing, like, I don't know if we're going to end up being, like, escape shifty type deck, but that just feels bad. Do I need a 4th blow up lands style card? I think these other 3 that I have are just better. And I don't want to fully go in on that plan if I can help it, so maybe not. Urza Saga. Yep, go buy Midnight Hunt stuff. Urza Saga, we aren't really an artifact heavy deck, I don't think. We're going to have maybe a couple of mana rocks. This is definitely not a deck that's going to need a ton of mana rocks. And other than that, like, the stuff we'd be grabbing for 0 or 1, I like Tech Edge more than Field of Ruin. Yeah, I can see that. Do I want to be a Thespian stage guy? Yes, I do. Reliquary Tower, absolutely. Teleria West, I am even fine with. In case we need to search for something else that is Glacial Chasm, which, yes, I'm more than willing to be that guy as well. Glacial Chasm, if you are a lands player, if you want to build any sort of lands deck, you need Glacial Chasm. Glacial Chasm, with any sort of being able to buy cards back from the graveyard, will keep you alive for so long until people figure out a way to deal with it. And largely, once people figure out you're playing lands, they try to kill you real fast, so Glacial Chasm becomes pretty important. Heck yes, Dark Depths. We're doing it. We are totally being a Dark Depths deck. People have 40 life to start. We're only hitting them for half of that if we Merit Lage out fast. We aren't even playing black, so we can't, Hex Mage our way to Dark Depths. We gotta do Thespian Stage or the hard way. Emergent Zone's fine. We'll see on Emergent Zone, I don't know. Alchemist's Refuge. Alchemist's Refuge I like more than Emergence Zone. Yeah, let's do that. Command Beacon, I'm fine with Command Beacon in any commander deck. Play cards that do things with your commanders. It's good fun. Cryptic Caves, we're going to have plenty of ways to draw cards. I'm not worried about it. Don't feel like we need Ancient Tomb. Cephalid Coliseum, also. Like, if we're going super combo-y, sure. This used to be a Dredge All-Star way back in the day. You could go for a land animation theme, which can be the win con. Oh, it's going to be in there. There's going to be, like... The way I see this playing out is I'm not playing any counterspells, so I'm just going to overload various weird land win con-y sort of things that aren't Land of the Dead style. So just, yeah, we're going to have plenty of win cons. We're going to animate lands. We're going to do stuff. Koyukio, yes, we are going to Gurk them. Slogurk, easily the most fun name of a commander that I've built yet. Sounds like a very failed yogurt product from the 90s. Yep, that's all I got to say about that. Blast Zone, sure, I've been playing it a ton in Modern with Seismic Assault. I can see that, although Seismic Assault's red, right? I don't think I can play it in this deck. This is Commander. So, no Seismic Assault for me. Play Seismic Bears. We'll get there. I have no doubt Ayula's influence. Yeah. Well, yes, that is part of the plan. We're getting there. We're gonna make bears. Where are we at? Crystal Vein, don't care. Blast Landscape, we have a ton of cyclers already. We don't need Ancient Tomb. I don't think we're milling. I don't even think we're milling ourselves. We're going to have plenty of opportunities to throw lands into the graveyard otherwise without needing to straight up mill ourselves. And even things like Drownyard Temple, we're going to have plenty of ways to get cards out of our graveyard. And trying to think in green and blue, is there a way for me to protect my graveyard? But I guess that's kind of one of the risks you take playing a lands loam style deck. Yeah. Add one colorless to your mana pool or return target land card from your graveyard to your hand. Meh. Yeah, Ground Seal is what I was thinking, but it does hurt me. We could go like... Asceticism doesn't give me hexproof, right? That's just all creatures I control. So if I can do something that gives me hexproof, that stops like exile target player's graveyard or things like that. We'll find something. We could even do Witchbane Orb if we really need to. There's an artifact recently that kind of worked right. There's a couple of artifacts I can think of that would do the job. I just got to figure out which one I want and which one has the right combination of stuff. Exile all cards from all graveyards. Nope, that hurts me too much. Don't think we need the treasures. Guy's Cradle. Here's the thing. I would throw it in, but also... I don't have $1,200 lying around. I'm planning on spending a little bit of money to make this deck a thing. I'm not planning on spending that or like Tabernacle style money, as I said at the top. So, no. Also, I don't know how many creatures we're going to have. Like, obviously, if we're doing, what is it? That's a Natural Affinity or whatever it is that turns all my lands into creatures. Gaia's Cradle gets nuts. But it's fine for now. No Cradle or Tabernacle is very reasonable. Thank you. Thank you for affirming that for me. Maze I'm definitely down with. Gaia Reach Sanitarium? I'm down for that, especially in a commander game where it feels a little more fun for everybody. We can go like Blighted Cataract, Memorial to Genius with it, but there's other options for things like that. Like, those are fine, they're just real mana intensive and they go away. Is your meta Grave Hate? I run a few mill elements in my list, that is enough to beat Grave Hate usually. Here's the thing about the meta for Commander Kingdom, is that it changes every time. I'm going to announce the people I'm playing with at the end of this stream, but there's no set meta. I change up the deck I play every single month. Other people are coming in fresh, so they're just playing whatever they want to play for the most part. So I have no idea. recently we've been doing it where we have one resident other guest on. This span of months, it's Olivia Gober-Hicks, which is great. I don't know what deck she's going to be playing. So far, none of them have been too grave-hatey, but I wouldn't be surprised to at least see some amount of Pajuka bogging style stuff going on. As for the other folks, I have no idea. Have we done an Arcades the Strategist yet? No. I do want to someday do an Arcades deck, or at least an Arcades style deck, but we have not got there yet. What are we doing? When did Obero get super expensive? I don't know. It's a card that I like throwing in decks, and I think I picked one up, so I'll throw it in. But yeah, like, for a long time, whenever I was building a commander deck, I'd always come up with a reason why, Obero would be good, and then I'd look it up, and it's crazy. Koyukio, do you know why it suddenly shot up so much? Leaning into counters matter, Centaur Vine Crasher, Ozolith, Slippery Bog Bonder, Urza Saga are awesome, Saga also grabs Torpor Orb. Isn't Torpor Orb 2? Urza Saga wouldn't grab Torpor Orb. An island that doesn't die to anti-island things. Fair enough. Tyrate Sanctum, maybe? Like, it protects a god. We're presumably turning our commander into a god, but we're bouncing it so much that it doesn't stay a god, because part of the point of it is... I'm not sold on Tyrate Sanctum unless there's, like, other creatures specifically we want to... Whoa. Okay. EDA Trek just kind of reset on me for a second there. Weird. Your Lotus Veils, or... Where was the other one? The other one was up here. Lotus Field? Sacrifice 2 lands, add 3 mana of any one color. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Lotus Field I'll do over Lotus Veil, just because it has the hexproof. Yeah, Obero is one of those sneaky cards. Like, I do think a lot of it is what Kyukio said, where it's a lot of the low print run. Like, anything from Kamigawa block is going to be a little less, why do you keep doing this to me? Anything from Kamigawa block is going to be a little lower print run than any of the stuff around it, just because it was not the most popular set unless it got opened. And Obero is one of those cards that has slowly, sneakily been getting better and better as more Lands Matter stuff gets printed. Yeah, I mean, exactly what Kyukio said. Champions was the first one, and then Betrayers and Saviors, as Kamigawa got less and less popular as it was out, didn't get drafted as much, so yeah. Tech Edge. So we already have the 3 other ways to kill things. We're at 38 lands already. And we do want to throw in more basics at some point. What do you do? Return land control. Meh, it's like colorless bounce land. Temple I'm not big sold on. I do want some amount of man land, so Lumbering Falls is going to go in. And then they aren't listed here, but we do want green-blue man land. So let's figure out how to search for that. What's the wording on it? Becomes a... Becomes a... Type is going to be land. Color identity? I'm trying to figure out... Mana production, that's what I'm looking for. Blue, green, and colorless can produce any of those. Yeah, let's see what that gives us. Nope, that wasn't... Oh, because I still have Seismic Assault in there. Now let's try it. There we go. Alright, so these are the man lands that we can also throw into the deck. We already have the Lumbering Falls from here. Treetop Village, Fairy Conclave. We do have A to Z. Let's... Hey, if you ever need to search up stuff and EDH Rec isn't doing it, there are a bunch of options. I will say, I know I'm a shill for Card Kingdom. That's kind of the entire point of all of this. We do have a pretty robust advanced search thing. You can see how well it works here. It's pretty good. Cephalid Coliseum we talked about. That's the somebody draws 3, discards 3. It's good. It's fine. I don't know that we need it in this deck, especially since we're already so high up on our land count. And while I do want at least 50% lands, I know there's a bunch of other cards I want to throw in. So we'll see. Thank you very much, Kyukyo. Yeah, so let's see. There's Blink Moth. Various versions of Blink Moth. It's fine. It's not exactly what we want. So yeah, because we aren't exact, we're going to get off-color stuff here. If we want to get really granular, we could go to produce exactly these and then go through each color one at a time. You know what? Sure, why not? Is there anything that can produce all 3 of those? Nope. So let's get rid of colorless. Apply. And it's just Lumbering Falls for both versions. So for blue. Fairy Conclave is kind of the go-to blue one. What else do we got? Oh, Hall of the Storm Giants. Hall of the Storm Giants is excellent. Yeah, we'll throw that in there. Let me do that this way. I'm going to do that directly onto MTG Goldfish where I'm building this. So you aren't going to see anything for a moment. Sorry about that. Hall of the Storm Giants I like a ton. It's huge, so it can do a lot of good duty defensively as well as offensively, and it protects itself. That Ward 3 ain't nothing. It's going to be less useful in Commander probably than it is in like Standard or even Historic on Arena, or you know, any other 1v1 format where efficiency is a little more of a thing, so people are playing lower land counts or like just big effects. But Hall of the Storm Giants in my experience has been a house. So, yeah, we're throwing it in there. I can even get the book version of it if I want. Not bad. And it's not too crazy expensive, so that's good. Let's go green. Or actually, let's see what happens if I go blue and colorless. Anything? Nope. Green and colorless? Nope. Just green. There we go. Lair of the Hydra ain't bad. It can scale, which is nice. It doesn't really protect itself in any way. The scaling is the big thing, so yeah, I like it. We can throw in a Lair of the Hydra. Lair of the Hydra, add that. Treetop Village is fine. Like, I don't need a ton of mainlands, I just wanted a few. So Treetop Village, I think, gets outclassed by some of our other options. And then, real quick, I don't think we're going to be throwing in a ton of the colorless producing ones. But let's take a look. Hall of the Storm Giants, and it looks really nice, I can imagine. Dread Statuary. Faceless Haven would be a reason for us to go snow-colored. I don't think we're going to be playing a ton of tribal-y stuff that would matter. Yeah. Like, part of the fun of Faceless Haven, especially in, like, Standard or Historic or whatever, I play a decent amount of Arena at home, because that's how I get to play Magic nowadays, is the fact that cards like, you know, Power Word Kill can't kill it. There's the Angel combo sort of thing, but I don't know that we're going to have a ton of stuff that's going to take advantage of stuff like that. Hostile Desert. No. Ink Moth Nexus. If we want to get real mean, we can Ink Moth. If we want to go the Infect route. I feel like if you're playing Ink Moth Nexus, though, that immediately just draws you so much hate. And then there's Mishra's. A lot of these cards are cards that I love and I've played a ton with, but they just seem so underwhelming in Commander. Lots of Mishra's Factories. Yeah, like, if we had more things going with the Faceless Haven especially, I'd go for it, but by itself, it's not enough. Like, if we were a dedicated tribal deck that had a bunch of effects that Faceless Haven could do things with, I'd go for it, but yeah. Yeah, all the stuff that just becomes like a random 3/3 that has even like that has trample or that has vigilance and stuff, it's fine, but it just feels so meh in Commander. Whereas like Hall of the Storm Giants and Lair of the Hydra scale as much as you need to. Hall of the Storm Giants is just a powerhouse. So I'm a little better with that. Mutavault kind of has the same problem for me as Faceless Haven. And Tuco Monastery at least has first strike and is decently big and is pretty cheap to do, but it's white, so we can't do it. Never mind. Stalking Stones, I've always been a fan of. I'm not going to throw it in because, again, it's just kind of a random 3/3. It's just the fact that you only have to activate it once and it's creature forever, which can be a minus sometimes, but it's funny. Also, the art on the old version of it is just wonky and hilarious. Svogthos we can't play. Thespian Stage we already have. There's Vesuva, but I don't know if I need that. Okay. Alright, so we have Hall of the Storm Giants, Lair of the Hydra. I think that'll do. We also have the Lumbering Falls, which at least has hexproof, so it is very good at protecting itself. Which I like if it's going to be just a random 3/3. So if I copy all of this over to my deck, let us save that, and then we'll get a look at where we're at so far. Throw in a bunch of other lands and whatnot. 1 second while I update all of this stuff. That's a little better. Get the visual view going, which is already going to be kind of nuts. Alright, let's see how that looks here. There we go. So yeah, we're already well beyond what we normally spend on these kind of decks, because lands, as we've stated before, are expensive in Magic, especially old-style ones, and there's probably a few more that I'm missing that I'm not thinking of right now. We do want more basics just so we can go find things. I don't think we need to go super crazy with basics. So we're at what? 44, that's with 1 of each basic. So if I throw in 3 more of each, so we're playing 4 of each basic, we're at 50. Oh, but yeah, there's the 1 creature, so we'll throw in a few more of each. Throw in 4 more of each, which will put us above the 50, so we're playing 5 and 5. Yeah, Trop is definitely the big thing, but still, even without Trop, it's over $500 for just our lane base, which is pretty crazy. There's what we're looking like now with more of those basics thrown in. Get that part updated too. There we go. Alright, yeah, so like I was saying, not a bad start. We are at, 52 cards total. So we could cut 1 card right now, 1 of the lands, and still be at our 50% lands threshold. So with that saying, now let's see what else we're going to throw into the deck. We can move off of lands, go into Rampant Rocks. I don't know how many rocks we're throwing in. Like, rocks are still useful in this kind of deck, but I don't know that we need a ton. Crypt we could throw in, but I don't want to hit myself that much. We'll go Soul Ring, Signet. That feels fine. We're going to have plenty of other things that are grabbing lands out of our graveyard and ramping us otherwise. These feel like the 3 premier low-cost rocks. I don't need, like, Chromatic Lantern in a 2-color deck. Talisman of Curiosity's fine, but again, we have plenty to do. Mox Diamond. Do I still have my Mox Diamonds? I need to figure out if I have them. If I did, it'd be fine, but I also don't really care. Yeah, we're fine without it. Probably only the best rock since already 45% of our deck produces mana. So yeah, I'm fine with just 3 rocks. You can already see, like, normally there's a lot more mana artifacts that show up in EDH Rec. There's 6 here, so people kind of get the idea that you don't need a ton with Slogurk. Slogurk. I don't even know how I'm going to say it, but I'm probably just going to keep saying Slogurk because it's funny. We want to run as many explorers as we can. Yes, we do. To which point, let's now get to looking at stuff that's going to kind of count as ramp, but kind of not. We're going to just see how that goes. Tireless Provisioner creates treasure tokens. There's a ton of landfall going on. Treasure and food is both good. Food can, surprisingly, if we're making it in the kind of quantities that they're talking, keep us alive for a while. Not sure if I count that as ramp. Crop rotation could technically be ramp. A lot of these cards are going to go in, by the way. I'm just kind of trying to stick to ramp first. There's a card that's definitely going to end up going into the deck. Splendid Reclamation I'm going to count as ramp in this instance because it very much could ramp us after we're throwing cards into the graveyard with things like Eel's Influence, which again we'll get to. Oh, real quick, let me clear my clipboard, add Splendid Reclamation, go really quickly back down to mana artifacts, add these 3 back. Alright. Explorers count as ramp with 50% lands, probably. Yeah, I'll buy that. Harrow, we don't have a ton of basic lands, like we have a few. Azusa, do extra land drops count as ramp? She's going to go in the deck anyway. We'll just throw it in there for now. It's fine. Yeah, I don't know we're playing enough basics to run a ton of stuff like Harrow. We have a bunch of things that will let us grab other lands. It's fine. Walk the Aeons. Why it's... Oh, it's not just ramp. You are building Commander. We are building Commander. The Realms Uncharted, whatever. It's fine. Sacrifice land, creature you control gain Shroud. I'm kind of fine with that. That can protect things like our Azusa and some other creatures we're going to get that are going to be kind of important. We're going to have plenty of lands and ways to get them back. Other stuff that counts as ramp. Exploration counts as ramp. Don't know about Lotus Cobra. Crucible doesn't really count as ramp, but I'm going to throw it in just because I know we're going to play it eventually. If we were playing Snow, maybe Spring Bloom. Druid. I guess this one doesn't really matter about Snow. This is just the straight up Harrow. It was just in the Snow set. Okay. Other stuff that counts as ramp. Growth Spiral we definitely want. Oracle, yes. Wayward Swordtooth. Anything that just lets us play more lands on our turn isn't bad. Uro. Do I want to Uro? Do I want to be that guy? I kind of do. Sure, we can Uro. Courser doesn't actually let us ramp. Realms Uncharted is lands gift and given right. Is that not good enough? It's good. Yeah, it's good. It's just... Oh, the reason I didn't put it in there yet is because I'm thinking ramp. It doesn't put the cards onto the battlefield, it puts them into your hand. So I wasn't thinking ramp. It's good, it'll go in the deck. It just... Yeah, wasn't thinking of it quite then. How do we feel about, like, Sakura Tribe Scout effects? Just putting a land card from our hand into play? I think it's fine, but I'm not sure if I want to use a ton of slots up on it. As far as ramp goes, Coiling Oracle is ramp technically, but I don't know if I want a creature slot on it. Sky Shroud Ranger, yeah, so how do we feel about like Sakura Tribe Scout, Sky Shroud Ranger, that kind of thing? It's obviously something kind of like what we want to do. But I don't know. I think we're fine without a ton of dorks. Ashaya, I'm going to count as ramp because any creatures we have immediately become forests. If we play Coiling Oracle, do we play Risen Reef? Yeah, there's a bunch of questions like that, and I don't know is the answer right now. Yeah, we're getting to, like, Walking Atlas territory, which meh. I think that's fine. 3 visits. We're getting there. We're getting into instants and sorceries now. Alright. We're just going to stick to ramp first, otherwise we're just going to go through the whole thing too quickly, I guess. Worldly Tutor is Searcher Creature card. No. Frozen Grips. Fine. None of these are... I figure there'd be more... straight up rampy sorceries. Or these are instants. That's why. What's Force of Vigor? It's not your turn, you may exile a green. Oh, that's that one. Return to Nature, Sim Charm. Alright, so there's our first pass at rampy stuff. Now we get into the actual thing. 3 visits I'm down with, just more so than Cultivate. Cultivate's good, don't get me wrong, but stuff like Cultivate. Does Veil of Summer count as Counterspell? So, I thought about it. No. Things that count as counterspells has to say counter target spell. Things that just protect our creatures by giving them hexproof, I'm not counting as a counter spell exactly. So that is our one little bit of wiggle room there. Nature's Lore. It's just another 3 visits. We multiplayer. We are going to be playing this for Commander Kingdom in a couple of weeks against 3 other people. Explore we definitely want. Anything explore like Farseek? Most of our stuff is forests. We can grab basic islands, things like that. I mean, it will let us grab Breeding Pool or Trop. I need to look at our lands again and just see what is an island that we could grab. It's like Obro is just legendary land. Eudora? What's Eudora? Is Eudora? Eudora might be on there. I just passed it up already. Eudora Grave Gardener. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, when you return to the battlefield face down under its owner's control. It's a forest land. Maybe some of these creatures I'm going to want to be able to buy back as they normally are, though. So that is spicy. I don't know if it's exactly what I want. For people who didn't see that, because I realized I was on the wrong screen, there's Eudora. Whenever another non-creature token you control dies, you may return it to the battlefield face down under its owner's control. It's forest land. The May is nice. If it just forced me to, I'd be a little scared of it. Urban Evolution seems fine, but it's sorcery. If that was an instant, I would definitely do it. There's Sylvan Scrying. Mystic Sanctuary is an interesting one. Sky Shroud Claim is an interesting one. I think we're getting good. Sylvan Awakening. Some of these are definitely going to go into the deck. I haven't gotten there yet. Reshape the Earth is just silly. Wait, if Farseek forces Mystic Sanctuary to enter tap, do you still get to buy back a spell? Nope. You only get to buy... sorry. Well, I know Mystic Sanctuary is in here somewhere. Utility lands. Where are you? Mystic Sanctuary. When Mystic Sanctuary enters the battlefield untapped. So, it does have to enter the battlefield untapped for you to get the target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. So, yes. If Mystic Sanctuary is grabbed by Farseek and must enter tapped, it will not get you back an instant or sorcery. At least that is how I read that particular interaction. Yes. Hour of Promise, don't really care about Far Wanderings as basics. I think we're getting good. Yeah, I think we're good on ramp and stuff. We have 17 cards between ways to play more lands, ramp, and mana rocks. Plus like 1 or 2 other things that already got thrown in. So I'm gonna call that pretty good. Let's copy that, put it into our deck, and see where we're at now. There's that. There's those. I will adjust the view here and scroll appropriately as things need to in a second. Why are you getting all weird on me? There we go. All right, so yeah, we're getting a little more interesting here. Yeah, not bad so far. We're at a nice number of cards. This is a family PG-13 level stream, so all I can do is say nice. But yeah, that's not looking bad. Do you have the TBD idle on? We'll a bunch of that stuff's about to come up. Don't worry. Let's go back to this view. This is going to be a relatively easy deck to build, I think. It's just actually going to come down to where do we make cuts. So where are we at? If we go progress, next thing would be draw and removal. I mean, I know what removal we're going to play. We are going to be that person. Let's just go there. We're going to Cyclonic Rift for sure. 1,000,000%. Do we want to, like, Pongify and Lignify? That's interesting. So we're going to kind of be combining these next few things into the same stuff, draw and removal and theme, just because it's going to be very hard in a second to start separating them. So yeah, we have Cyclonic Rift for removal. Tireless Provisioner. Do I want a bunch of food and or treasure tokens? I can see the food being more useful. Like treasure, having a bunch of mana is never a bad thing. If nothing else, it lets us activate things like Lair of the Hydra and Hall of the Storm Giants without needing to tap out for things, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. So treasure isn't bad to have. Food can definitely be nice for us. I'm going to throw it in for now. We'll see if it sticks. Druid class we definitely want. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under our control, we gain a life. We may play an additional land on each of our turns once we dump 3 more mana into it. And then when it becomes level 3, 1 land becomes the Wrenn and 7 token. Wrenn and 7, also a card we're going to want in the deck. Turns out, Wrenn and 7 plays nice with a lands style deck. Augur of Autumn. Hey, look at that. We also want that. We cast creature cards from a popular library too. Nice. Ewit. We'll see if we have room for stuff like Ewit. I don't know yet. Crop rotation. If we want to go deep, we can try to win with mechanized production off of tireless provisioner tokens. That is very deep. We'll see. Crop rotation, I do want mostly just so I can, at a moment's notice, get things like Glacial Chasm. Crop rotation can definitely be a card that lets us live. So you do want at least one of those effects. Titania is immediate yes. Titania is probably going to end up being a major win con for us. Because we have ways to put our own lands from the battlefield into the graveyard and just pump out 5/3 elemental tokens, which can run people over pretty fast, it turns out. Ramanop Excavator, we definitely want. It is another Crucible of Worlds effect. Life from the Loam. Obv. Ayul's Influence, another great and silly win con. Azus is already in the deck. Splendid Reclamation's in the deck. Trader Outs is a good way to trigger landfall if and when we need it. And it just fuels up things like Ayula's Influence if we want. It also lets us just discard for value to draw cards if we need it. I'm fine with Trader Outs. What did Trader Outs even cost by itself? 2? Yeah, it's fine. Escape Shift. We aren't Land of the Deading. We aren't like Valakut style things. How useful is Escape Shift to us? If we're pairing it with Splendid Reclamation, which is already in the deck, Escape Shift obviously can get bonkers, but we aren't Escape Shifting for like the insta-win, I don't think. So I don't know that I really want it, which is kind of crazy to say. I also don't want to be the extra turns guy. I know it's a good card, and this is definitely the sort of deck that can use Walk the Aeons to its fullest potential, but being the extra turn guy just never feels good. I mean, it feels good if all you're out to do is winning, which, don't get me wrong, I like winning, and if I were just building this deck to be mean and win by myself, absolutely it would go in there. I don't know that I want to be that person in this particular game for a stream. Value scape shift sounds odd. Yes, it does, which is why I'm kind of thinking no. Zurin Orb. I just kind of froze up there. Like, I can see a bunch of... Okay, so Zurin Orb, yes, one, it fulfills the... It keeps us alive if we're getting attacked a lot thing, which is fine. But it is also the easiest way I can think of to make things like Titania go off. So yeah, I'm fine with Zurin Orb. Beast Within, sure. Like, we need ways to remove other people's stuff. Tatyova, I mean, it, like... When people talk about value Simic engine decks, Tatyova is kind of like one of the poster children commanders for that, and one of the poster children cards for that. But it's so good. Y'all, it's so good. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, if we're building a high-ish powered deck, which, let's just be fair, we want Tatyova. We aren't building C80H, we're just building high power. If we were building C80H, we'd throw in cards like Lotus Cobra and stuff that lets us go off real fast and super efficiently, but I'm more going for big, powerful stuff. Exploration, I think we already have in the deck, right? Yes? Yeah, Exploration we already have. Crucible we already have, for sure. AC is... What are you? You may play... Oh, you're just another... You're another half of Tatyova and like a Wayward Swordtooth. For 6 mana, though, which is a lot. So I might pass on that one. Whenever World Shaper attacks, you may put the top 3 card of your library into your graveyard. When World Shaper dies, put all land cards from your graveyard onto the battlefield tapped. Hey, that seems pretty good. World Shaper I'll do. Reclaimer is another crop rotation, so I like that. It's pretty underwhelming as a creature by itself. I play Tatyova and Canlander. You should. Tatyova's good. Tatyova is never bad. Hey, Constant Mists is a dumb cheap card that I am absolutely going to play because it's not a counterspell, but it just does keep me alive and it's very annoying, which are 2 things that I like doing. Ancient Green Warden is wonderful. We'll throw it in there. It's another Crucible of Worlds effect, and it lets us trigger a bunch of landfall things. Yeah, we'll do that. Dryad of the Elysian Grove. The basic land types thing I don't really matter. The more land playing turns, yes. And lands you control every basic type is actually pretty good. It's not land cards. Like, I don't think this... It's lands I control. It's not land cards, so it doesn't turn everything into, like, Farseek fodder in my deck. Creeping Renaissance. Creeping Renaissance is what? Destroy a bunch of artifacts? Creeping... What do you do? Creeping Renaissance. Choose permanent type of the chosen card from your graveyard to your hand. Hand's a lie. If I end up playing Mana Bond, then I might do that. But we have plenty of ways, like Loam and a bunch of other things, to get cards, land cards out of our graveyard that don't cost quite that much mana. And are... Yeah. Like, the utility of it being any type, meaning we can buy back our creatures, is nice. Maybe. That one requires consideration. I mean, Avenger, and Baloths, like, we're just doing, and Scoot Swarm, we're just doing good landsy things. Dreamscape Artist, a little too basic focus. Tireless Tracker, I will do forever, because drawing cards with clues is great. We already have Uro. All these old Simic friends. More aptly, just discard the land for counters or seismic bears. That also sounds good. Multani. I can see that being okay. It's 6 mana. Our each trample is actually pretty good. Like, the fact that it's all the lands that we currently have in circulation outside of the stuff in our hands, it can return lands to our hands once it's dead, so that we have fuel for the seismic bears and whatnot, is good. Like, if we need to, whatchamacallit, if we just need to pitch a ton of lands to make a bunch of bears, you can activate this more than once. If Multani's in your graveyard, you just activate it. In response to its own activation, you just keep activating it and just bounce lands to your hand, throw a bunch of them into the bin. Make bears. Seems good. Timeless Witness I don't really care about. Hedron Crab, I don't want to be... we're not milling people out, I don't think. Crew Fix is good. We'll play Crew Fix. Well, Corsair Crew Fix. You can't play Crew Fix. Crew Fix is banned. For good reason. Vine Crasher. Yeah, I can see that. Another tramply big boy is always something that makes people just go, ugh, which I'm fine with. Oh, good lord. Jadzi, what do? Discard a card. Return Jadzi, Oracle of blah blah, to its owner's hand. Magecraft, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, reveal the top card of your library. If it's non-land, you may cast it by paying 1. If it's land, put it on the battlefield. Great. Or, Journey to the Oracle. You may put any number of land cards from your hand onto the battlefield. Then if you control 8 or more lands, you may discard a card. If you do, return Journey of Oracle to its owner's hand. Interesting. What do y'all think? Journey to the Oracle and Jadzi. Like, I can see why it's good. Is it... It's just weird. It's a 5/5 with no evasion or anything, but it lets us cast things real cheap if we're already casting other things, or it ramps us a little. But it's 8 mana to do that, and then 4 mana for an effect that's fine, but we're already dumping a ton of lands out of our hand anyway, so it's not like we're hoarding them. Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking no, but it's kind of close. Skoos, I like having some amount of grave hate. We can't play Bajuka Bog. One of my favorite things to do in that old lands deck was watch Dredge players think that this was an easy win because I don't have a ton of interaction, and then they go for their big turn, and then you just crop rotate into a Bajuka Bog, and life was golden, but we can't do that here. So, Scavenging Ooze it will be. We could also, like, Primal Command and whatnot. We'll think about it. Oh, good lord, the gods. So many gods. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile Cosma. If you do, it gains whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control. If Cosma is exiled, you may put a voyage counter on it. If you don't, return it to the battlefield with X+1/+1 counters on it, and draw X cards where X is the number of voyage counters on it. Okay, so that's a lot. Basically, you pay 3 mana, and then your next upkeep, you exile it, so you don't get the creature anymore, but then every time you play a land, it gets counters, and eventually you choose to bring it back so that it's big, and you draw a bunch of cards. That's a lot of hoops to jump through. Whenever a vehicle you control deals combat damage, yeah, it's like, it's fine, but no. Royal Elemental is hilarious. Royal Elemental is hilarious. Royal Elemental is hilarious. Do we want it, though? And then Proliferate. What are we at? We were at 69 cards. Nice. We've added 27 since then. Right? These are all new. Yes, these are all new. So we're at 96 already. Oh boy. What does my own commander do again with counters whenever a land enters the battle graveyard? Put into your graveyard from anywhere, put a +1/+1 counter on Slogurk. Remove 3 +1/+1 counters, bounce to your hand. When it leaves battlefield, return up to 3 target land cards from your graveyard to your hand. So, like, there is a point to Evolution Sage, but is there that much of a point to Evolution Sage? Are we doing anything else with counters so far in the deck? Let's take a look. Slogurk's the big one. Yeah, I think it's just Slogurk so far that really cares about the counters. Oh, what? That was the manland I was thinking of. Crawling Barrens, right? That's the thing, isn't it? Yes. That you can just make bigger over time. Crawling Barrens. So yeah, 4 mana, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. You may have it become an elemental creature until the end of turn. It's still a land. So I like this one. If you haven't played against it, the way that it ends up working in decks that are like slower and control-y is at the end of your turn, when it's about to be like at the end of your opponent's turn, you have a Crawling Barrens. They take their turn, you still have mana left over, you just put 2 +1/+1 counters on it, you don't have it become a land, you become a creature, in case they have removal up or anything like that. But just, whenever you have the extra 4 mana, you just put 2 +1/+1 counters on it until it's like a 10/10, 12/12, whatever. And then when you actually have cleared the way, they're out of cards or whatever, then you have the huge creature that can just beat face. So I do like Crawling Barrens, and I'm gonna add it to the deck. Which puts us up to 70 cards. So I need to be... And we're at what in EDH Rec right now? Something crazy. 27, so I have 3 more spots now. Skyshroud Ranger and those I think we decided not to. Evolution Sage, nah. Royal Elemental is funny, but also meh. Moloku. Hey, Moloku is fantastic with what we need to be doing here. Also, the fact that it makes flying blockers is not nothing. We don't have a ton of ways to interact with flyers yet. Speaking of which, hey, Kadama, you have reach. I know you're something crazy. Whenever another permanent enters the battlefield under control, plus put on the battlefield with this ability. Equal or conversion mana cost. So, essentially in our deck, what it's going to let us do is play a lot of lands. And then, like, a smaller creature after we play a big creature. Which isn't bad. Yeah. It's not bad, but I feel like this is another target card. Like, once you play it, you just become a magnet for everybody's hate. Rec Sage is something I need to think about, because I don't think we have a ton of destroy other people's stuff yet. And there's definitely some enchantments and artifacts that are problematic for us. But we don't have a ton of room left, so we gotta start being a little cagey here. Ashaya. Asaya solves the wild's power and toughness for each equal to the number of lands you control. Great. Did I already throw you in the deck? Are you already in here, Ashaya? I think you are. You are. Alright, so I don't need to think about it. Kadama will just vomit on the table, which Polite Company and like dislike. I don't know that the people I'm playing with count entirely as Polite Company, but I also do want to not draw all the hate immediately. Acidic Slime, we aren't really flickering stuff. Although if you get like Ashaya and Acidic Slime going with something like Moloku or something else that lets you bounce lands, then stuff like Rec Sage and Acidic Slime become pretty hilarious. I think I do want a Rec Sage-like effect, which leaves us one more spot, which is not a lot. Oy vey. Seedborn Muse is a thing, but I don't know if I want to deal with all the other hatred that comes with it. The good news around Instance is that one of our rules is no counterspells, so we don't have to worry about a ton of that stuff. We can do Heroic Intervention, but that puts us at 100 cards. So the big thing, like I said earlier, and I knew this was going to happen, is we're going to have to figure out what to cut in a minute. Your Tutors, Mystical, and whatnot, I don't really care. Rapid Hybridization is very good. I'll throw it in for now, since we're now into the land of maybe piles and whatnot. Reality Shift is meh. There is always stuff like Crows and Grip, which is fine. Ram Through is the creature-based removal, which is meh. Void Slime is a counterspell, unfortunately, so we cannot. Consider is another one of those cards where I see the utility, I see the reason for it, like the arguments you can make for it being in this deck, but why are you using up a slot in this in a commander deck? Like, it's good, it's fine, it's just so... You're playing CDH. I feel like if you play Consider, because if you're not playing CDH, you can just come up with so much more interesting stuff to do than Consider. Veil of Summer. It only protects from blue and black. For some reason I was thinking it protected from more colors. Oh, that's the other one, right? I forget the name of it. Well, I'm sure we'll come upon it shortly. Noxious Survival is a thing. Force of Vigor is potentially a thing. Simic Charm ain't bad. Pact. Oom's Grace is funny. We just keep drawing cards. Yeah. We're getting into the hard part of this. What else do we want? Hey, there's Creeping Renaissance. We'll throw it in for now. Gush is neat, isn't it? Where was it? You may return 2 islands you control to their owner's hands rather than pay Gush's mana cost. Draw 2. You know what? Sure. Gush is neat. I have a bunch of ways to draw cards, but a lot of them are based around like land stuff, so Gush is interesting, especially for the effect of putting lands back into our hand, which is... It's a fun tension in this deck, is because you want to vomit lands out onto the field, but then you want to bring them back and then discard them and then bring them back from there and play them and bounce them, and yeah, that's why the theme is compost. You just keep reusing all the same stuff. Finale is fine, but I mean, Finale is obviously a great win con, but we aren't, like, hoofing people out or anything like that, so whatever. We're almost there, I promise. I'm just seeing what else I really want. Nailee's Intervention is funny. Let's just put a bunch of stuff into our hands. Sylvan Awakening. Is Sylvan Awakening worth it, everybody? Reach Indestructible Haste. They're still lands. Yeah, that seems fine. That's a good I'm done playing this game card. Solve the Equation, no. Far Wanderings is basic stuff. Reshape the Earth is 9 mana, but it would be kind of hilarious. Oversimplify. The problem with Oversimplify is if we're playing stuff like Sylvan Awakening, we instantly exile all of our mana. So while I'm a fan of Oversimplify, I'm scared of the situations we're going to run into with it. Curse of Swine, whatever. Summer Bloom, if we were being a little more combo-y with things, then sure. Any of these things, like Amulet would be a Summer Bloom style deck, which weirdly was a deck. Who knew? We could go like Blackblade or Forge style. Ozlith, but we aren't very counter heavy. Greaves is always good. Yeah, okay, enchantments. This is where I'm going to have a problem. I am always a fan of dumb enchantments. Things like burgeoning are great, but I actually don't feel like this is a deck that wants burgeoning just because we have so many other effects that let us play multiple lands a turn that I don't know we're going to get a ton of value out of burgeoning. Like, it's great if it's in our opening hand. But after that, like, yeah, I can definitely see us having use out of it, but I just don't know how much, I guess, is the problem. Which isn't what you should worry about. Simic Ascendancy is a funny way for us to win, isn't it? That would be silly. We can see. Do I want to be your stick study guy? Don't think I want to be your stick study guy. Could do mending. Hardened scales, retreat, crawling. None of these things are bad. I just don't know that I want them. Greater goods, meh. Court of Cunning is what? Any number of target players each mill. Boo. Pedantic Learning. Whenever a land is put into your graveyard from your library, you may pay 1, draw a card. No. That's silly, but also no. Monastery Siege, enters the battlefield, choose cons or dragons. At the beginning of your draw step, draw an additional card, then discard the card. Or, spells your opponents cast the target you or permanent control cost 2 more. Spells is nifty, but also no. Hey, Planeswalkers, this is where things can get funny. Oko, if we want to go full-on Simic things people hate. Like, it's not bad. If we're doing Provisioner style stuff, then Oko definitely gets crazy because you start exchanging control of things real fast. What else do we got? I don't want Wielder of Mysteries because I don't think we want to be the mill deck. Or self-mill, even. And it's Vital Force. Untap target land you control until your next turn. Well, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Nissa Who Shakes the World. I think we all know what Nissa Who Shakes the World is and does. Do we want it? I think we kind of want it. Yeah. Yeah, it does good stuff. Tameo, Collector of Tales. It's hard to say no to Nissa. It very much is. Tameo's a good way to fill up our graveyard and start doing things like that, but I don't like overloading on Planeswalkers. And then Teferi Master of Time is also fine, but I don't really care. The one other card I was thinking of is like Orbs of Warding. Stuff that can give us... You have Hexproof. That's fine. What was the other one? Witchbane. Orb does the same. We have Hexproof stuff. Destroy all curses attached to us. It's 4, which would be a thing. Orbs of Warding does a little more work against, like, token-y strategies. What else protects our graveyard? Let's... You know, we're just going to start with very simple. You have Hexproof. Is there anything in our colors that can do that? Arcane Lighthouse is fun. Creatures you control have Hexproof. As luck would have it, is Silver Border. Creatures you control have Hexproof. Crystalline Giant isn't a thing. Donglite here. You know what helps is using search modifiers correctly. Put quotes around it. There we go. Alright. Enduring Angels, fine. Imperial Mask. Let's be smart about all of our stuff here. green, blue, include colorless. Alright. Orbs of Warding and Witchbane Orb are it. Okay. Well, I successfully identified what I wanted. Endurance or Blessed Respite? Respite. So one target player puts all cards on the bottom of their library. Oh, yeah. That doesn't quite do what I want. Like, that kind of just saves cards from my graveyard from getting exiled, but it's not actually protecting my graveyard, if you kind of get what I am saying. Prevent all combat damage if we don't turn. Yeah, I think it's Orbs of Warding that I'm going to go with. So let's throw all of this into the deck along with Orbs of Warding, and then we will get down to the business of whittling things down. Turns out Orbs of Warding is the only card that starts with orbs. There are other singular orb cards. And then we will update what things look like so that we can all figure out where the cuts are going to go. F5 there. Scroll down. Pretty sure this is the most expensive deck I've built for Commander Kingdom. Zurin Orb is the one card we aren't going to get to see on there. I'm fine with that. Get rid of you. Close, but not quite. And then update the visual view, even though that's going to be largely incomprehensible. Yeah. Alright, so yeah, there's a lot more cards off to the side in that visual view, but I'm not going to bother too much right now trying to fix it up. Yeah, it just makes it bigger, which isn't exactly what we want. Hello, Restless Koro. So, we're at 106 cards total. We need to whittle this down a little bit. We have 52 lands, which is what we wanted. I'm down to cut the 2 mana rocks. Which 2? Because we have 3. So there's Sol Ring, Signet, Simic Signet. I'm almost fine cutting all 3. I might keep Sol Ring just for, you know, nostalgia almost. So yeah, say we cut the 3 mana rocks. That's fine. We can cut 1 basic land. We can cut 2 basics actually. So we go 4 forests, 4 islands. What is my spread on the CMC 2 mana rocks? Yeah. So we are definitely mostly green, which makes a ton of sense being lands based. Oop, I don't need primer. What? No, go back. Just deck page. There we go. So we cut 2 islands. We cut the 2 mana rocks. So we go down to 3 basic island. We are cutting, if I can find them, where are they at? Arcane Signet and Simic Signet. That puts us closer, obviously. 2 more cuts are needed. But yeah, we're getting close. That is now the entire list on the right there. And we'll just update the visual view, even though I don't think it's going to overly matter. Is that really 100 cards? I think the visual view has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, visual view is a little wonky for some reason. I'm down to cut Realms Uncharted unless we have a way to recur our lands. It doesn't feel super strong. Where are you at, Realms Uncharted? You are... oh, that one. Yeah. I mean, we do have ways to recur our lands. We have a ton of ways to get things out of the graveyard and recur things, but I'm also fine just cutting it in general. Like, it's good, but it's also just, I don't know, it feels a little sweaty, if that word makes sense. Realms, where are you, Realms Uncharted? You're somewhere, there you are. Alright, one more cut. Realms Uncharted is gone. Trade routes. I like being able to bounce lands and then just having more discard lands. We have a bunch of ways. Do we have a bunch of ways to bounce lands to our hand? We have Slogurk, right? Slogurk himself is... leaves... Oh, that's not bouncing lands to our hand. I know we have a couple of other ways. We have Maloku. Constant Miss with sack a land. I do like Constant Miss enough that I'm not going to get rid of it. Gush is a way to do it. Gush is a one-shot, though. But the one-shots are still fine. How do we feel about Creeping Renaissance now that we have the full list? It just lets us buy back all of our creatures or all of our lands. We have our 2 planeswalkers, both of which I like a lot. Did we end up throwing the one card in here? Tireless Provisioner? How do we feel about Provisioner? That's one that's kind of on the edge for me. Stuff like Scoot Swarm is a win con that gets crazy real fast, so that one I'm fine with. It also means that we get to do silly math and silly things with tokens, so again, fine with it. What is the one card in here that is the least useful? Yeah, Provisioner seems fine to cut. We didn't go with the mechanized production plan. Sadly, no. No, we did not. Tireless Provisioner, your time in the sun, I'm sad to say, has come to a close. Alright, so with that, I hit save here. We should be at 100 cards exactly, which we are. Which means we are essentially done. Well, that's fun. We're a little early. I knew this deck was going to be easy enough to build. It was just a question of, yeah, how easy, I guess. Anywho, here's what we got. Called this deck Breaking Ground before I knew it was going to be in it, but I still think that that name fits fine. There is our deck total. We are at, what was it? I just had it up here and then I got rid of it. $1,627.62 to throw it together. Fortunately, I have most of the more expensive card. I have the fetches. I have your Obero. I have the Tropical Island. It's still going to be a little bit to throw this together. I have a Rift. I have the Life from the Loam. Save your cards, kids. If you ever think you're going to play Magic again and are getting out of like Legacy, or you don't play Legacy too much, like happened to me, hold on to your cards, because it turns out all those old cards still have homes, and they only get more expensive, especially if they're on the reserved list. So you know what? If you don't hold on to them, sell them to Card Kingdom, because I should say that. But, hold on to your cards. If that is an option. Because, boy howdy, if I still had my Tabernacle of Pendrell Vale, that would be going into this list, because it's super funny whenever you play that in a Commander game. People do not like it, and, but in the most hilarious way. Also, the fact that if the interaction with Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale and Merit Lage is kind of hilarious. If you do not know, Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale is worded very strangely. The Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale. We're also just going to look to see how much that would have cost if I actually wanted to do it. $4,000 for an excellent. If we wanted near mint, it'd be $4,500. Good lord. Anyway, the point is Merit Lage is indestructible, and the way Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale is worded, because it's a weird old card, is at the beginning of your upkeep, destroy this creature unless you pay one. It's not sacrifice, so you don't have to pay for your creatures if they are indestructible. Which is silly and fun to know. But yeah, I did have one of these in the long ago. I sold it a long time ago. I'm not sad that I sold it, because that actually paid entirely for a vacation by itself, even before it was this crazy price. But yeah, hold on to your old cards, kids. They do things. This is our deck. Before we go, I guess, since we got here a little earlier than I was planning on, let's do some stuff, because I think we can, can't we? For some reason, didn't I thought this had a setting here in Goldfish where you could get like a sample hand. Was I crazy? Does that not exist? Huh. Stats? Oh, there we go. So sample hands. Let's see if we would keep these sort of things. What do we got here? Exploration, Hall of the Storm Giants, Blast Zone, Wooded Foothills, Obro, Crucible, Tranquil Thicket. I think we keep. I think this is perfectly fine. You Wooded Foothills for a Tropical Island, play Exploration, play Hall of the Storm Giants. Turn 2, you can play Obro, cast Crucible, replay the Wooded Foothills, fetch something else, cycle the Tranquil Thicket. You just get to keep Wooded Foothillsing things out. And Blast Zone, our first couple of draws, be another cycler. So yeah, like, as far as a lands deck goes, this is pretty silly and good. You get Hall of the Storm Giants online real fast. You get Blast Zone going as quick as you want. Take out everybody's quick mana rocks and soul rings. Yeah, that seems good. In another hand, oh my, this one's actually about probably the worst sort of hand we can get. Only one land in our 50% lands deck. But you get to go Forest Soul Ring, turn 2, you draw another land, you play it, you explore, I think off the Soul Ring, but you don't draw another land. Okay, so don't keep one landers. Good to know. Okay. This one I can also see being fine. You get to go Forest, Soul Ring, pass, next turn. You may play lands, you may look at the top card, and that was, you can also do creatures, so it's not an extra land step. This one's a little slower, but like you can obviously see it's going to be fine. If we do one more new one, again, it's a little slower, but it's certainly fine. Like you go turn 2 Trader Outs or Scavenging Ooze, and turn 3 Tireless Tracker. Just start making clues and drawing cards. We have our Lotus Field that sacrificed 2 lands. So what can we do here? You go like... Moloku's how much to cast? I think it's a 5-drop. Yeah. Go back. Stats. There we go. Okay, well, this is a new one anyway, but whatever. This one's less fun. I think I'm going to get a lot of hands like this, where it's technically... it can do things, but it's just a little slow. Ooh, that's a bad one. That's probably the worst sort of opening hand we could get. Nope, I lied. There's that one. Wow. For our 50% land hand, it started giving us a lot of hands that don't have lands in it. I'd be fine keeping this. We got Uro, which lets us just start going crazy. Trader Outs on 2, eventually play a Reclaim. Yeah. Yeah, I can see this deck doing things, which is, like, It's a little slow, I think, especially if we aren't drawing like our explorers and our ramps super early, but we have plenty of it. And we have things like Azusa and whatnot. So far, the biggest issue I'm seeing is we're getting a lot of hands or situations where we don't have a ton of the correctly colored mana early on. Which is crazy, because I didn't think we skimped on any of that sort of thing. Yeah, that one's fine. Alright. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Like, we definitely have the high power level. I think it's just going to be an issue of surviving long enough to turn it on. But once we do, I think we can be super annoying about it, which is great. There are a couple of combo-y things we can do in the list, which also make me happy. A lot of it revolves around, what's-its-face? Ashaya. Turning all of our creatures into lands, and then we can do things like just endlessly bounce Ender's Battlefield effects that we want. Things like with Maloku. We have a bunch of ways of sacrificing lands, so we got Titania going. We have Multani, which is also silly ways to bounce lands and do things. We have our landfall style stuff. Yeah, this deck has a lot of synergy going on. It looks very silly. I like the fact that it is more base green than blue. I'm fine with us not playing Counterspells with the way this looks. We have a bunch of silly lands. Are there any other silly lands you all can think of that you want me to throw in before I call it and lock this in? What are some of the ones I'm trying to think of off the top of my head that do silly things that I don't remember immediately? Is the Yavimaya Hollow, is that what I'm thinking of? Is that the white one? Oh, let's just regenerate target creature, which is fine and good. If we were green-white, we could play Riftstone Portal, but we're not, so who cares? There's no land that just spits out tokens in green and blue, right? That's white. That's like Kildyorn Outpost. Yeah, I think I'm good with this. Alright, so with that, as we do near the end of every stream, it's time to announce who I'm going to be playing with. And part of the reason why I'm trying to build a slightly more powerful deck on the higher end of the curve is because the folks I'm playing with definitely have power to play with. On Wednesday, October 27th at 1 p.m., so an hour earlier than we normally do, just to accommodate some scheduling, we're going to be playing with Olivia Gobert-Hicks, Serge Jaeger, and Mana Curves. Mana Curves and Olivia Gobert-Hicks have both been on here before. We're happy to welcome Serge for the first time, even though we've had a bunch of LRR friends. Serge is a long time coming. We've been wanting him on for a while. I played him once years and years ago at one of the Vancouver GPs in Legacy. I'm trying to remember what he was on. I don't remember. I know I was on a very terrible Allurin build, but it'll be nice to finally have a rematch with him. Mana Curves, last time she was on, absolutely stomped face with her Locust God deck, so hopefully I can get a little bit of payback with that. And Olivia Gobert-Hicks usually ends up trying to kill me pretty fast, so we'll see if I end up living through her onslaught. But that'll be a fun way for all of this to go. That'll be a fun game. They always are. Thank you for joining me as we build this deck. It's a very silly one. I hope it works as well as I want it to. It's not entirely just a straight-up lands deck. I feel like if me, Chris, were to try to build a straight-up lands deck, it would get either way too in the weeds with dumb, very marginal utility lands, or we just go like Field of the Dead, Scape Shift. I'm going to crush everybody in my path immediately. Thank you for joining me. Please take care of yourselves. Have good days. Do what you can. Get enough sleep. Hydrate. All that good stuff. Shop Card Kingdom for all your commander needs and or other magic needs. Yeah, hopefully Magic comes back in a slightly bigger way soon. I know Vegas is coming up. Just be careful, everybody out there. Do what you can. Hopefully everybody gets to play around tables again sometime soon. Have a good one. I'll see you later.